All right, 6. Can we call this?
Recording in progress.
All right, we're going to go ahead and call the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Director Sailors.
Present.
Director Gould. Director Wood.
Here.
Director Rice is absent. Director Costa.
Here.
Director Weber.
Here.
Director Stark.
Here.
Director Clark. Director Jones.
Here.
Here, Director Jones is joining us via Zoom this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Director Clark, will you lead us in the flag?
Certainly.
Pledge the flag.
Ready? Go.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Clark.
My pleasure, Mr. Chairman.
All right, the Metro Cable announcement. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District is recorded. The recording will be cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the Local Government Affairs Channel on Comcast, and the DirecTV Uverse cable systems. Dates and times of these recordings can be found in the agenda. That brings us to public comment. So this is a public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district's jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
I have no speaker cards. Anybody on Zoom wishing to make a public comment, please use the raise your hand feature. No response, no public comments.
All right, thank you. That brings us to consent items.
And Director Rice just joined us. Director Rice, are you?
Rice is present. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Director Rice. All right, consent items. Do we have any questions or comments from the board on consent?
No, sir.
Mr. Chair, I'd move the consent calendar.
I second it.
All right, we have a first and second. Roll call, please.
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Gould,
Aye.
Director Wood,
Aye.
Director Stark,
Aye.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Director Weber,
Aye.
President Costa.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. A consent calendar is adopted.
Thank you. That brings us to presentation items. So we have the proclamation of National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, and we have Deputy Chief Farica. Good evening.
The directors, chief house, colleagues, and guests. Joe Furica, Deputy Chief of Administration. It is my privilege to stand before you this evening on behalf of the Sacramento Metro Fire District as we recognize an often unseen yet absolutely essential group of professionals. Each day, public safety telecommunicators serve as the first point of contact in moments of crisis. They are the calm voice in chaos, the steady presence guiding those in need and connecting them to life-saving resources. Their work demands not only technical skill and quick decision-making, but also compassion, resilience, and unwavering dedication. Here in the Sacramento region, these individuals work around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, ensuring that every call for help is answered and every response is set in motion with precision and care. Though their contributions may not always be visible, their impact is felt in every life protected and every emergency response made possible. Today, we formally recognize the week of April 12th through April 18th of 2026 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. It is a time for us all to pause, reflect, and express our gratitude for the critical role these professionals play in safeguarding our community. On behalf of the Board of Directors, it is my honor to present this proclamation to the Sacramento Regional Fire and EMS Communications Center in recognition of their outstanding service. To all public safety telecommunicators, thank you for your commitment, your professionalism, and your dedication to keeping our community safe. Elizabeth Strong and Alex Chavez, will you please join me up front? I would like to point out that Elizabeth and Alex were selected by their peers as Supervisor and Dispatcher of the Year, respectively. And at this time, I'd like to present you with the proclamation. So, on behalf of Metro Fire, thank you.
Wrong side.
I'm like, it's way higher than the one I left.
Congratulations. All right, we have an action item. So we have our Chief Human Resources Officer, Melissa Maddox. We have an adoption of a resolution, Settlement Authority, Limits and Guidelines. Good evening.
Good evening, directors, Chief House. I'm Melissa Maddox, the Chief Human Resource Officer for Metro Fire. Tonight I have a resolution for settlement authority. So in an effort to always fast track our processes, especially in the workers' comp arena, this is another one of the items that we identified that could help accomplish that. So basically, staff has reviewed 5 years of workers' compensation settlement data from 2020 to 2025 to evaluate whether the district's current settlement authority thresholds remain aligned with actual claim experience. Based on this analysis, staff recommends adoption of updated settlement authority limits and guidelines that better reflect current settlement trends and improve operational efficiency. The Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District receives various claims, including those brought pursuant to the Government Claims Act, workers' compensation claims, and other claims for money or damages not subject to the Government Claims Act. In order to effectively manage these claims, the district maintains delegated settlement authority with established limits and guidelines. And I would note that the settlement authority limits have not changed since 2017. So for instance, as part of this review, we analyzed workers' compensation settlement activity for those 5 years. So overall, the total settlements that we analyzed were 61. 17 of those were within Intercare's settlement authority, so our TPA. 19 were within the Deputy Chief Settlement Authority, and then 25 were Board Authority. So therefore, the average settlement value, including the outliers, was $81,157. And then the average settlement value excluding the outliers was $40,321. So what we found is even when excluding the high value outliers, the average settlement value exceeds the current board approval threshold of $35,000, including that the existing authority structure no longer reflects typical claim resolution values. As a result, a disproportionate number of settlements require board authority. So staff is recommending that we update the settlement authority thresholds as follows. So for board authority would be anything over $50,000. Deputy chief authority would be anything under $50,000, and then Intercare's authority would be anything under $25,000. And if you'll notice, the resolution only refers to board authority because that is what your authority is through the resolution. But in all transparency, I wanted to include the other authorities that we're working with, just so you're aware of how the authorities trickle down all the way down to our TPA. If these proposed thresholds had been in place in those years that we evaluated, the distribution settlement approvals would have been Intercare's authority would have been 33, Deputy Chief authority would be 13, and board would have been 16. This represents a 36% reduction in board level approvals and a 31% reduction in deputy chief approvals. These changes would allow the board and executive leadership to focus on higher value, higher risk claims while improving the efficiency of routine claim resolution. Additional benefits of these proposed changes includes improved operational efficiency and reduced administrative burden, expedited delivery of settlement benefits to injured members, reduction in legal costs associated with board level approvals, and better alignment of authority thresholds within historical data and inflationary trends. Obviously, since 2017, medical costs have went way up, so it's not proportionate anymore as far as our data shows. While the proposed increase in Intercare authority is significant, all settlement recommendations will continue to undergo internal review and discussion. This proposal maintains appropriate oversight while aligning approval thresholds within the actual settlement experience. So tonight, we're asking that the board authorize and approve the attached resolution granting settlement authority to the fire chief within the outlined limits and guidelines. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Director Gould?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, one of the things that I didn't see in the resolution was any kind of a mandate to revisit this change in a year to get the really great data that you just shared with us so that we can see if that was what it claims to be, is that we get more efficiency operationally and that kind of stuff. So I obviously don't need the resolution to be rewritten and come back, but what I would just ask us to do is think about, we've made a change and we potentially should look at how this has impacted the organization a year from now.
Definitely.
Approximately. So if you could just kind of put that in the back of all the
Yes.
things that you have going on already, just say, hey, let's not let this particular change go for 3 or 4 years without having almost a mandated revisit to see that it's
Definitely.
doing what we claimed it would do.
Yes.
I think the public, when we start saying we're gonna start approving things without a lot of potentially additional oversight, it could get some folks a little nervous, and we're gonna commit to come back and look at this.
Definitely, yeah. And we're just as curious to see how the future data, if
Yeah.
it reflects the previous data that we analyzed. So the goal is to not necessarily remove authority from the board, but just to get these claims and settlements processed quicker. For instance, we don't have to wait for the next board meeting. Let's say we have a settlement that went through this week, we would have to wait until May because we don't have a board meeting in April, and that delays a settlement, that delays that money from getting to the injured worker by an entire month.
No, I
So,
think that's brilliant, and so I support
Yeah.
it. I make a recommendation that we adopt the resolution.
All right, we have a recommendation. Any other questions? Sorry, just confirming question. Okay, we have a recommendation. Have a second. To adopt the resolution. Or, sorry, we have a motion. We have a second. Thank you,
Okay.
Director.
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Aye.
Director Wood,
Aye.
Director Stark,
Aye.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Director Weber,
Aye.
President Costa.
Aye?
Thank you, motion passes.
All right.
you.
Thank you, Melissa. Great work. All right, that brings us to our reports. And so for President's report, most of this will be covered in the Executive Committee report. But I'll just highlight for the board as we move forward and we're talking to staff about opportunities and new programs, we want to keep in mind the impact on our resources. So the Executive Committee is asking those questions to make sure we're focused on the right priorities and helping staff be successful. All right, with that, I'll move to Fire Chief's report. Chief House.
Got to turn that on. Good evening, board, members of the public. Tonight, I wanted to acknowledge a couple things. First off, one of our strategic plans is community engagement and hearing feedback from the community and how the community feels about Metro Fire. So we tested it just recently. As you know, we have a Citizens Academy going on, and so we put a short survey out to get some feedback. I just wanted to highlight some of that feedback, and our plan is to have this survey pushed onto our website and have it continually opening and monitored, so we get that public feedback. So some of the feedback we got is respect is the first question. Creating a culture of mutual respect within the fire district and community. We were rated at 75% success rate on that. Innovation, using new technology and methods to improve emergency response. We were rated at 83% success rate on that. Fiscal stewardship, responsible and transparent management of taxpayer funds, 75%. We're happy with that. Communication, strengthening how we share information with the public, that was at 67%, in line with what I think we've all heard from you with our strategic plan. We can work on that for areas of improvement, and we will focus on that. And then one of the last questions was, which goal do you believe is the most critical for the district to focus on right now? 42% was expand communication. 33% was innovative service delivery. 17% said fiscal stewardship, and 8% was respect and culture. And then in terms of innovative service delivery, what would you like to see most? Number 1 and number 2 was increased use of specialized medical equipment. The next one was risk reduction and public education. So we reviewed those and felt this to be very valuable. Our intent is to keep this on our website and continue to monitor this and have community outreach to let all the public know this is going to be continually out there, and we'll check in on that and report back as needed to you all and give you that feedback on what the community says they like about us and not like about us. So, areas of improvement, right? With that, Citizens Academy 26-1 graduated or will graduate next Wednesday. Our last final class was yesterday with them. That graduation will take place here in the boardroom April 15th, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Once again, outstanding participation. We had a full class with a waiting list, and they all said, can you do this more? So in line with what you've asked us to do and all of our public. And great conversation and great feedback and really good questions from the community. And then the last thing that was just brought to my attention hot off the plate tonight, as we all know, Zinfandel Training Center is close and on time for completion. Our grand opening, to put on your calendars, grand opening date will be June 25th at 2 p.m. And we'll have more to come in your email on the details of that opening ceremony. And that concludes my report for tonight.
All right, thank you, Chief. Any questions for the chief? I'll just say, Chief, great report, and I really appreciate the leaning in on communicating with the public, getting their feedback. I think it aligned with what we've been talking about and hearing, and so it's good to just know that where we're leaning in meets where our public wants us to be, so thank you.
Absolutely. I think it's great information to get from our public that we serve.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Chief. All right, so we have administrative report. Deputy Chief Rica. No report? Okay. All right, then that brings us to Firefighters Local 522 report. Vice President Scollard.
Good evening, board members, Chief House, colleagues, members of the public. Sean Scollard, Vice President, Local 522. As President Costa said, a lot of my report was covered in the executive session. Probably spoke way too much in there, more than I was anticipating. However, I can highlight some things that have occurred this week. Political action is hot and heavy right now. There's a lot. We are in full-blown political season. Attended multiple political events this week already, included one with Director Rice in his other capacity. Met with Congressman Barra today, as you know, a big advocate and supporter of Metro Fire. We had a video acknowledging that support not too long ago here in this boardroom. So happy to continue a relationship and partnership with him. I did have the pleasure of speaking with the Workers' Compensation Commission earlier this week and advocating for members not just at this organization, but up and down the state. I can assure you that the challenges that we have at Metro Fire when it comes to workers' comp is not unique to this organization. And I was very privileged to be able to see that this organization is doing such a great job when it comes to workers' comp. I think the work and effort, the support from the board, the support from HR and the staff in there, and the things that we're doing with workers' comp, we've made leaps and bounds from where we used to be, and that's evident when you get in a room and you can see the struggles that others are doing. I think in my words to the commission was there has to be some skin in the game from agencies. There's a lot of flexibility that they have the ability to do without legislative change, and that's exactly what we've been doing here, fast tracks, adjustments to board policies, getting payouts quicker, expediting claims, or having the ability to override UR denials and at the chief's authority. Those things have happened recently. Members are continuing to reach out. I know that there's been multiple praise from the staff in HR from our members about denied surgeries that they review and then get accepted. Like, that's a good feeling to know that we're being adaptable to workers' comp and our members are seeing it on the tail end. Of course, there's always going to be things that we can improve on, but I think when you compare ourselves, our agency, to others, we're doing a great job in that arena. So I was happy to hear the report from Melissa, and it just coincided with what I had to report out to you in regards to speaking to the commission earlier this week. We do have some upcoming travel, cap to cap, as I know some of you are aware and will be in attendance. So looking forward to going back to DC for the second time in about a month. So it's a long flight, but the direct's not bad. Followed by CPF convention in about 2.5 weeks, and then some additional events, another political event next week, and I'm sure more will pop up on the calendar. So happy that Chief House and I got to meet and have a great meeting this week as well. We have moved labor management up to the 17th. So we are having labor management this month on the 17th, as was reported in executive session, and I'm sure the rest of the board will get updates on that as well for those of you that weren't in attendance for executive session, and look forward to seeing what else we can get accomplished. So with that, I'm contained.
All right, thank you. Any questions? No questions?
My gosh.
Well, wait. No,
Yes,
no
sir.
questions. I just want to say
No,
thank
I'm
you.
just kidding. Yeah, I'm happy to take questions, of
Yeah.
course.
Thank you for your participation earlier today in executive committee. Thank you for being here and providing us with updates and engaging with the team. And as we discussed before, a priority of the board is to bring our, union and management together, labor management together. And so I appreciate you guys leaning in on the concept we're trying to build to make sure that, one, we're addressing issues, and two, we're providing that feedback back to the board. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you.
All right, so that brings us to committee and delegate reports. So for the executive committee, bear with me because we covered quite a bit of room today. And I'll just highlight for the board, we tried to build these in where we're getting an update on the strategic plan, which has been a board direction. Part of that is some of those strategic projects associated with that. And then a new component is kind of emerging issues. So what we're trying to do is, one, help staff prioritize the work and provide some guidance to that on behalf of the board. So the first thing is we had the strategic plan update. Staff had a chance to meet with our consultant on kind of where we are in next steps. And I had a chance to meet, as I reported last time, on behalf of the board. A lot of great conversations there. So what staff's going to do is kind of build a rough draft of the document, kind of the narrative, and start defining kind of what the strategic plan means for Metro Fire. So more to come as they develop that process. Once that's developed and get it to the board, we'll have a better timeline as far as next steps. So board goals on strategic projects. The first, Chief Development Officer Jeff Fry walked the executive committee through executive staff board communication. And this is intended to strengthen and expand communication with our executive team and the board. We walked through kind of the concept. They've tested a little bit with stakeholders. And so a couple things, key things. One is developing the definition. So no surprises. What's that mean for the board? And then emerging issues, kind of new, evolving, escalating matters. What does that look like, and how do we get that through the process, get it back to the board, right? So early engagement with the board on those things. So staff developed some definitions of what those look like, and they're going to be refining that and bringing it back to the executive committee. The second part was the information flow component of that. So again, how does it come in? Who takes ownership, and how do we communicate back to the board and then ultimately to the community at large? So a lot of great work on that. And I would encourage the board, if you have time, to sit down with staff just to walk through it, make sure it's meeting the intent that you're hoping it meets, and provide some feedback to staff on that. All right, the next one, which we've talked about a little bit, the next priority project was on labor management. So Deputy Chief Mitchell leaned in on this one, and I think at the last meeting we got a lot of feedback. And at this meeting, he brought forward kind of the framework. So taking the board direction, looking at how do we plan for monthly meetings, what's the agenda look like, and so he's developed kind of the next steps. So meeting cadence, so we finalize that, it would be monthly. We're looking at executive committee involvement. We think it's important, at least for the first couple of meetings, that a member of the executive committee is present to observe, provide feedback back to the board. A key component of this is the framework for those discussions. So I think the agenda, developing the agenda, identifying those issues early. So key to this will be meeting more often. Hopefully that focuses the issues so we can really tackle some of these, and then giving the chief the authority to work on behalf of the board. Reporting expectations. So how does this information come back to the board? So key here is tracking what's in those meetings and then reporting it back to the board. So giving us visibility in what's happening month to month in those meetings. And so the executive committee felt like that was the right cadence, the right information flow, and so we asked staff to move forward with that. So more to come. I think, as you heard, the next meeting has been scheduled for next week. And so staff will be meeting with them and then providing that kind of cadence back to the board. And I'll just say that in all of these, we're going to try it, see how it works. We're going to pivot. We're going to try it, see how it works. So the key here, again, is better alignment with this organization, clarity and communication with the board. Some of these emerging items, so we discussed financial implications, so preliminary budget preparation. Chief House kind of walked us through an overview of what that may look like. So we're going through the preliminary budget process. But how do we ensure we're capturing certain information and bringing it back to the board early? So let's say staffing requests. How do we provide clarity to this organization about what we're doing in that process? Not getting in front of the finance committee or a team, but just ensuring that that process is moving forward and we're providing communication. So 2 things we acted on today. The communication strategy during negotiations. And so it's important as we look at our needs on resources, how do we take that information, how we report it back, especially when in negotiations. So direction was we will incorporate feedback of what's happening as part of the deputy chief's report. We will defer certain requests until negotiations is concluded with one caveat, operations. So we want to ensure that the chief who acts on behalf of this organization to run this organization is put in a position to pivot on operational necessity. So we'll be holding on most of those requests until negotiations is over unless there's an operational need and the chief will make those determinations and decisions. All right. The other is interagency political dynamics. So it's the Folsom deployment and the changes. So what's been happening with respects to Folsom and our work with Folsom. So we got a kind of an update of where that is. And I think we've got the 2x2 who's been engaging in that. And so what we asked, the 2 things we asked staff was, 1, we want to keep the 2x2. It's important for that level of communication with both organizations at the council and board level. I think there were some requests for information that staff is working on behalf of that 2x2. And then the second piece is at a date at which we're ready, and the 2x2 has a recommendation is to bring it back to the board with an update. Where are we at? Where are we going? Just so this board is fully aware of those potential implications on what we're trying to accomplish. And then we had a review of the community impact. So demolition of Station 116. And staff has developed a plan for community engagement. And again, same process. They talk to the board member, so sailors, to get feedback, talk to the community and others to kind of understand what is the community looking for as we look at this project. And it was just, staff had a recommendation for engagement. One caveat to that was a town hall to make sure we're engaging the community, getting their feedback, keeping them aware of what we're doing. We work on behalf of the community. And so we want to make sure we keep them apprised of what we're doing and why, and get their feedback. So we're moving forward with that. And Director Sailors, thank you for your engagement on that. And we're at the last item. So the last item kind of came up today, and that was in regards to a question Director Gould had asked before with respects to legal services in the RFP and board participation. And while board participation in the selection process is allowed, we were given a couple options, and we've decided as the committee to move forward with the RFP, which closes tomorrow. So not to stop that process, we asked that the staff recommendation is for one of the panelists to represent the board's feedback and direction. And so what we said is, yes, let's move forward with this process. We don't want to delay this process, giving the panel the ability to work on behalf of this organization. So that was a lot of information. Any questions? The board.
Got them all.
All right. Hopefully I got it all. Thank you. All right, with that, we'll go to Finance and Audit Committee. Director Jones?
Yes, thank you, President Costa. Finance and Audit Committee, our next meeting is May 28th, 5:30 at headquarters. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Jones. Policy Committee, Director Clark.
Yes, Policy Committee met today. We did nominations for the chair and the vice chair. The next, and also we talked about administrative policy, records, Records Act policy, put out my beepers. Basically, those are the things that we talked about. The next meeting will be May 14th at the same place.
Who are the committee members?
The committee members was myself, Cindy Sailors, Director Ted Wood, Director Grant Gould. So,
Who are the chairs?
The alternate.
the chair, I was volunteered as the
You were selected. Congratulations.
Director Wood is the vice chair.
All right.
Yes, I thank
What
you
is-
for, so that's the conclusion of our meeting.
What is
All
the
right.
vice chair?
What happened?
Thank you. Thank you, Director Clark.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we'll go to board members' questions and comments. Director Jones.
Thank you. No comment tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Director Rice.
Contained.
All right, thank you. Director Clark.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We talked about, I appreciate the chief sharing the results of the survey that we did with the community regarding, our performance. And I think the value of the Citizens Academy is just huge. Just being an observer in there, I've seen where it basically gives the public a snapshot into the services that we provide within the divisions of Metro Fire and in pretty much in detail. It gets the public a little bit acquainted with a lot of the actors within our organization and the excellent job that they do. And I think it's just really a value thing for us to do. And I think it's great that we continue being evaluated, and it gives us an opportunity to see what our, what our community is thinking about, the services that we're providing. I think it's just very valuable. And also the president, you spoke a little bit about the, the committee and all that kind of stuff. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Clark. Director Stark.
I have nothing, but I've been brought to my attention that Captain Scholar had an oversight that he would like to address, if that's appropriate.
Oh, an oversight.
Thank you, Director Costa, for yielding some of your time. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the dispatchers in the room. Congratulations, work well deserved. For those of you that don't know, dispatchers are represented by 522. We're proud to represent them, and recognition well deserved. That's all.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for taking the opportunity to do that. Thank you, Director. All right, Director Sailors.
I just want to give a big shout out to everyone that works at this fire department in every capacity. Everybody does such a professional job all the time. Everyone shows up and everyone does their best. And that just fills me with gratitude. Thank you. That's all tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Director Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just really quickly, I'm a little frustrated that it's National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. They do way more work than a week's worth. We have months, right? We call out months for people and groups, and these folks get a week. That's not enough. I think that everyone who's ever worked in this business understands the vital role that these folks play and just how stressing it is for them. Those of you that are first responders get to actually go to the call, physically be there. I have a young brother that received his doctorate in this area of study, and I got to serve on his committee. And one of the things that was really special is to just understand the level of stress that these telecommunicator types, I'm going to call them dispatchers and 911 professionals, but we just don't appreciate how much stress goes on in their lives when they can't physically be on the call. They're helping through the phone. And I just want to call them out and just say, a week's not enough. Hell, a month's not enough. And certainly a year's not enough. You folks do an incredible job every single hour, tens of thousands of times a year. and we just simply can't award you enough and give you enough kudos. It's a job that is just unforgiving, and you're held to such a high standard, and there's really nothing we can say. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director. Well said. Director Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just echo what Director Gould just said. Thank you. Appreciate you guys taking time out of your lives to be here tonight and share that good news with us, and congratulations. And with that, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Weber.
I have no comments, but thank you.
All right, thank you. And for myself, I just want to thank staff again. What a great day, a lot of great information, a lot of great work done, and I think it's important that, you know, the board sees just the great work. I think a lot happens here, goes unnoticed, and I really appreciate you guys leaning in, bringing that information forward, asking for some feedback, because it's very important. And as part of that, I'd like to ask the board that we continue to look at how we support the team, and continue to ask them about the resources they need. And if there are constraints, if we just challenge them to challenge each other to help them find some opportunities there. So with that, that brings us to the end of the agenda. We'll go ahead and close for closed session.